الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. I start with a prayer. اللهم اصلح لي أمري اللهم اصلح لي ديني الذي هو عصمة أمري واصلح لي دنياي التي فيها معاشي واصلح لي آخرتي التي فيها معادي واجعل الحياة زيادة لي في كل خير واجعل الموت لي راحة من كل شر. The Prophet ﷺ used to repeat this dua frequently. اللهم اصلح لي دنياي الذي هو عصمة أمري. Allah bless or make steady the affairs of my life in this world, in which my fate, my immediate fate, lies. واصلح لي دنياي التي فيها. And actually I reversed them. He starts out by saying اصلح لي ديني الذي هو عصمة أمري. Allah bless the affairs of my faith, my religion, in which the heart of my being lies. And bless the affairs of my here world, my world in this life, in which my persistence or living exists. واصلح لي آخرتي التي فيها معادي. And bless the affairs of my afterworlds, in which my return will be. واجعل الحياة زيادة لي في كل خير. And make life a source of blessings in everything that is good. واجعل الموت لي راحة من كل شر. And make death a relief for me from all evils. In this simple dua, the Prophet ﷺ capsulizes and summarizes our entire attitude to our existence from the time we come to consciousness to the time we leave. We live with our hearts and minds keenly aware that life in this earth, as the Quran repeatedly describes it, is but a wink of an eye. That this is a life that is temporal in the nature of being temporary in every sense of the word. We come from an infantude that we have not experienced to an infinity which we, in our very conscience, know that we will experience in some way or another, with a contingent and, shall I say, dependent state of consciousness between the past that we have not experienced but we see the remains of. We see the fossils and the evidence of the existence before us, and we know that things cannot end at the moment of our death, because we know by rational thought that even if life on this earth continues, existence persists beyond this earth, in the heavens, in the galaxies, in the numerous manifestations, well beyond our consciousness. And if you believe in Allah, if you believe in God, then you know that the maker of this universe is as infinite as the existence of the universe itself. We cannot understand the sense of infinity of the maker because it is beyond the logic of the created, of the made, or the makhluk. But in this state of consciousness that we call life, which is temporary, our attitude is one that must be in our hearts, in our minds, keenly aware of the time after death. And we pray to Allah that to make this abode of this abode of inevitability, the abode in which all of us go, the abode in which all of us go after death, to be a blessed one. Because what could be worse than going to an existence in which we know nothing about, feeling that you do not have the companionship, the insurance policy, the blessing of Allah. It is as if you are opening the door to an infinity after death, saying, I will face it alone. If you think life on this earth is full of anxiety, then you can imagine the level of anxiety that life after death, afterlife in other words, will be if you stand there not only without family ties and family blood, but you stand there facing infinity, facing a logic, facing a state of being that is completely different than the state of being that you have been familiar with on this life, the state of physicality and laws of physics and so on. And now suddenly you go to a world in which the laws of physics do not apply, the laws of gravity do not apply, an entirely new logic of existence applies, and you face it not knowing that Allah is your companion. So you stand there in a state of absolute anxiety. But in the same time that a Muslim knows that their ultimate fate is in that hereafter, they're firmly anchored in this world just because Allah has willed that this world be gifted to you for the time that you are in it. You don't come to this world by any exercise of choice. You don't choose how you come, when you come, under what circumstances you come. You don't choose your race. You don't choose your sex. You don't choose your wealth. You don't choose anything. But you come to it, and then you are confronted with a challenge. And either that you wrestle through the affairs of this world through reliance on your rational and natural intuitive faculties, or you wrestle through the affairs of this world through a partnership with your maker, with the one who decided when you came and how you came and under what conditions you came. And that is a choice that Allah leaves to you entirely. The more you come close to Allah, the more you call upon the one who decided your sex, your race, your wealth, all these factors, the more Allah is your partner and companion in this world, and the more God promises you to be your companion in the world that is after. But the more you anchor yourself in the logic of individualism and independence and self-autonomy, the more you anchor yourself in the logic of it's me and me alone, and I will wrestle through the affairs of this world without acknowledging my reliance and dependency on my maker, the more you persist in the same state of loneliness and anxiety in the hereafter. And of course, it's not just that you want your state of being in the hereafter after you leave this very temporal existence. It's not just that you hope for Allah's comfort and Allah's mercy and peace, but you hope that ultimately, when the scales of justice are drawn and you are judged, that you will be among those who are favored by this judgment. And so the last dua as to the akhirati allati fiha ma'adi, that the life, the longer life, the more substantial life, it's a life that we have not experienced in any sense, but we know that judgment must be preceded by some type of result. A judgment in which no results follow. So if there is merely a judgment as to right and wrong without no consequences, becomes no judgment at all. Because if the very nature of our intuitive knowledge, and we see this in the signs of everything, if the moment in which any being confronts the consequences of, a gazelle before a lion, the gazelle knows that once they are trapped and confront the moment of being killed by that lion, they know the consequences of this is that they will no longer be with their flock. They will no longer exist within the sense of living. All beings have an intuitive sense that judgments have consequences. Decisive moments of confronting your fate have consequences. And so the consequences in the hereafter follow the same logic. It is entirely without logic, entirely illogical. It would be, in fact, a form of vanity and nonsense sensibleness, a form of frivolity, for Allah simply to say, well, you know what, in the hereafter, you are all judged as good, regardless of what you've done, regardless of your conduct, regardless of what you've invested, or to be all judged evil, regardless of what you've done and regardless of your conduct. I love especially the last verses of this dua, when the Prophet ﷺ asks Allah that life on this earth أن تكون لي زيادة في كل خير, to make life the logic or the philosophy of life that in which the Prophet aspires for in speaking to his God, is to say, I am ever hopeful in your kindness, in your mercy, in your generosity. I cannot exist in life with an attitude of pessimism or an attitude of aloofness or the pretense of non-involvement. If I exist in this world, I exist always without a sense of entitlement, but constantly with a sense of sincere hope in Allah, that Allah will give me whatever is khair, whatever is good for me, and to consistently ask Allah, give me what you know is good for me. Even if I don't know that it is ultimately good, but if you know, since I love and trust you, give me what you know to be good for me. And of course the other equation of that is that you accept it once it's given. وَالْمَوْتْ رَاحَةً لِي مِنْ كُلِّ شَرٍ. And ultimately the certitude to know that when death comes, whenever it comes, that it is a rest and repose from all evil. That the moment you, not me, Allah, the moment you choose for me, for death, that it would be a moment of extraction from agony and pain and misery, that you know in the balance of things I should be extracted from. In this state, a Muslim is in an utter sense of balance, anchored with feet in this life, but not overly involved with it. Looking at the hereafter, but not with a delusional sense of heroism and egoism. Well, you know, I'll deal with the hereafter whenever it comes, or as the Quran describes it, tamanni ala Allah al-amani, that a sense of taking God for granted by just assuming that God will do whatever you like God to do, but rather having a sense of healthy realism about the hereafter, saying, you know, whatever it is, I am not anxious because God will be with me. And the same type of attitude it flows through your philosophy towards life in this earth. Whatever it is, I am not anxious because Allah is with me. And when confronting the possibility and of the moment of death at any time, you say, whenever it comes, I am not anxious because I know that it is good for me. Walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar, wa wallahu yastajib lakum. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وسبحان الله ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. The affairs of our faith is like, as the Prophet ﷺ describes it, Rida al-Taqwa, or it's as if a celestial outfit or a celestial garment that you wear. It's like the affairs of any system of faith or belief. It's something that you adorn, you put on. And if your outfit, if your garment is stitched and made and designed and in fact in its very fibers is the blessings, the barakah of your maker, barakatul khaliq, this celestial garment that you wear becomes as if a constant state of bliss. It is with you as you confront the affairs of the world. It protects you from everything that you need protection from. It protects you from the heat of worry and anxiety. It protects you from the cold of loneliness and alienation. It allows you to leave leave dependency on your physical world. So, and it protects you because it has the Rawhillah, it has the breath of Allah in it. It is a celestial garment, and therefore it's with you when you die. It is with you in death. It is with you after death. Unfortunately, we human beings all too often take that celestial garment and turn it into a garment of fashion. We intervene in it in a variety of ways so that it becomes a form of empowering our egos over others. And this is when you see religion become false affectation, or religion becomes a way of uplifting your own ego over others. Or it becomes a garment in which you wear as if a garment of aggression, as if a garment which symbolizes your intent to treat other human beings, as if you have joined a special elite society of elect, and the others and in your eyes, of course, because you are yourself have corrupted your own garment, so you cannot really perceive the garments of others in any real sense. And you wear this garment as if now you've joined a special elite society, and that this society now entitles you to feel haughty and mighty and arrogant over others, or that wearing this garment entitles you to ignore the emotions and feelings and thoughts of others. All of that is corrupts the garments by taking the breath of Allah from it and making it entirely mundane, entirely human, entirely without Ruhillah, without its divine attachments. And it becomes a thoroughly mundane, a thoroughly temporal garment through and through, subject to the ego, to the weakness of mundaneness. Egoism, pride, selfishness, arrogance, all the human weaknesses which we see creep upon religion and soil that most a garment designed not to empower you against other human beings, but to protect you in the affairs of this life and in death and in the hereafter. Some ask, well, if you wanted to do a check, if you wanted somehow to do sort of an authentication test for this garment, whether it is truly a celestial form or it has lost its divine aspects and its divine attributes, whether it is still from Allah or whether it has been corrupted. And I say Allah has left you in His book so many different indicators of how you can quickly check for the authenticity of this garment. And I give you one of the most common and the simplest. A dua that we repeat all the time. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. As simple as that. God commands justice and ihsan, kindness, وإيتاء ذي القربى, and being kind to your kindred and relatives. وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي, and orders you or command you to stay away from everything that is corrupt and wrong and unjust. Now, use that yardstick, even as an intuitive yardstick, and look at the affairs of any person who claims the pretense of Rida al-Taqwa, of this garb of faith, and say, in the way this person carries these religious convictions, do they embody the principle of justice, kindness, tenderness, and mercy in the way that this person or you, if you're evaluating yourself, feel towards others and act towards others? Are you just and loving towards those who are of kindred? Ita is al-Qurba. The Qurba do not necessarily mean just blood relatives. It's not a matter of blood. But all those who are close to you, that life has brought close to you. Is your relation one of antagonism and hatred, or your relation one of gratitude and love? Are you a person who finds numerous spots in their life that seem corrupt, foul, as if rotted? And you find that either your affairs or the affairs of others are not marked by justice or balance, but rather seem to be imbalanced. And the sure sign of imbalance is fear and anxiety and worry. And that is a fairly precise measure For whether one has rida'at taqwa, the garment, the celestial garment of Allah, or one has either taken off this garment altogether, because we are free to do so, or whether one has corrupted that garment so that it no longer has the divine and celestial aspects to it and it has become entirely mundane. Allahumma afu anna, Allahumma aghfirna, Allahumma aghfir lana, Allahumma ahdina waslih halana, وزدنا إيمانا وتقوى واسكننا جناتك وأرحنا في الموت يا الله يا علي يا عظيم وانصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين واصلح حال أمة الإسلام والمسلمين آمين آمين وقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.